As awareness grows for medical benefits of marijuana, former players appeal to NFL to embrace its use. Part 1 of 3 in series on uses of pot and sports. Coming Monday, the Marshall Plan. After a hot and sticky afternoon teaching Paramus Catholic High School football players how to punish quarterbacks, Leonard Marshall sent the kids to the showers and then went to his car to retrieve the medicine he takes to relieve the chronic pain he inherited from his 11 seasons in the NFL. The former Pro Bowl defensive end, an anchor of the Giants teams that won 2 Super Bowls under coach Bill Parcells, sat on a bench in the middle of the school's sprawling New Jersey campus and took several hits from a handheld vaporizer containing a cartridge of amber-colored liquid. The substance was cannabidiol, CBD, a compound found exclusively in the marijuana plant that, unlike the better-known THC, doesn't get users high. Marshall, diagnosed in 2013 with signs of the brain-eating disease chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, begins his days with a 500 mg dose of CBD he takes with a dropper. The 54-year-old former football star, now an entrepreneur and Paramus Catholic's defensive line coach, uses the vaporizer throughout the day to stave off crippling headaches and other ailments tied to traumatic brain injuries. It is a safe and effective alternative to the dangerously addictive painkillers passed around in NFL locker rooms like Skittles, he says. The headaches, the migraine headaches, is what CBD has really affected big time, Marshall says. I won't say the relief was immediate, but I would say from minutes to hours from usage, I could tell the difference. As the Giants, Jets and the rest of the league prepare for the 2016 season, Commissioner Roger Goodell faces increasing demands to embrace cannabis as a solution to 2 crises that threaten to derail the $13 billion a year league: painkiller abuse and concussions. Marshall is part of a budding movement led primarily by former football players who want the NFL to remove marijuana from its banned substance list and provide funding for pot's potential as an alternative to dangerously addictive pain medications and as a treatment for the brain injuries that have driven football stars such as Junior Seau and Dave Duerson to suicide. What I'm asking for is research, says Tennessee Titans linebacker Derrick Morgan, the only active NFL player publicly advocating for cannabis. We play a violent game. The injury rate is 100%. The more options we have for our health, the better. The NFL's marijuana movement has been loosely coordinated by CW Hemp, a Colorado company that manufactures a CBD supplement called Charlotte's Web that has been successful in treating seizures in children, and its non-profit partner, Realm of Caring, a CBD advocacy organization that provides support to the families of kids with epilepsy and other neurological disorders. Scientists are cautious when they speak about cannabis potential as medicine, but CBD has been effective in reducing seizures in children who suffer from epilepsy. Researchers also say cannabis has shown tremendous promise as a treatment for pain, inflammation, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's and other ailments. There's just not a lot that's proven yet, says Drive. Douglas Smith, a professor of brain surgery and the director of the Center for Brain Injury and Repair at the University of Pennsylvania, The most ardent supporters of CBD suggest it can also help protect athletes from concussions and prevent CTE, the NFL industrial disease caused by repeated blows to the head. They point to the curious fact that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services holds a patent that suggests compounds in cannabis may limit damage from traumatic brain injuries. The NFL has spent $100 million on concussion research, says Realm of Caring Executive Director Heather Jackson, but not $1 on a known and patented neuro-protectant. The NFL and the Players Association did not respond to requests for interviews, but league officials recently contacted the University of Pennsylvania and Johns Hopkins researchers involved in Realm of Caring-funded studies on cannabis effects on pain, brain injuries, and quality of life in current and former players. At the moment, it's about fact-finding on their part, says Marcel Bonn-Miller of the Penn School of Medicine. They want to learn more about where the science is. Football sources say the union, which would have to approve any changes to the NFL's collectively bargained drug policy, has also expressed interest in marijuana's potential. In 2014, the policy was changed to raise the amount of marijuana metabolite necessary to trigger a positive drug test. But despite the inquiries from league officials, it is highly unlikely that the NFL and its union will rush to embrace marijuana as the answer to its health and safety woes. Pot is still classified as a Schedule I drug, which means the federal government says it has no accepted medical uses, and the NFL has long been governed by men who prefer not to alienate fans and sponsors companies that include beer and pharmaceutical companies by taking controversial positions on social issues. Goodell's most recent statements have indicated that he doesn't see an immediate need to change the policy, says Eugene Monroe, the 33-year-old former Ravens lineman who cited CTE fears when he announced his retirement July 21. The mounting research in the field and pressure from players should encourage him to re-evaluate. Medical marijuana, however, is now legal in dozens of states, including New York, and recreational use is legal in 4 states and the District of Columbia. 8 more states, meanwhile, will vote on marijuana initiatives in November. The stigma surrounding marijuana is disappearing as fast as opposition to gay marriage a few years ago. So, too, are the headaches that sidelined Leonard Marshall before he began using CBD about 6 months ago. My quality of life, Marshall says after taking a hit off his vaporizer, has improved because of this. Otis Reed, a 5-year-old boy with a sly smile, bright eyes, and chubby cheeks that demand to be kissed, was diagnosed with a rare form of epilepsy when he was just 9 weeks old. His parents tried everything to improve his quality of life: special diets, steroids, surgeries, and pharmaceutical drugs that increased his blood pressure, enlarged his heart, weakened his bones and made it difficult to sleep through the night. Even the stimulator doctors implanted in Otis' brain did not stop the scores of seizures the boy suffered every day. We tried everything, Otis' father Ryan Reed says. Nothing helped. Otis' last option was a complicated operation that would basically disconnect half of his brain and had just a 30% chance of success. The Reeds instead decided to try CBD, which required them to leave their friends, families, and careers in Lawrence, Kansas, where they feared they would be prosecuted for drug crimes or child abuse for giving Otis the cannabis oil, and move to Colorado, which has been on the cutting edge of marijuana science for much of the past decade. Otis suffers from far fewer seizures now thanks to the low THC, high CBD oil he uses every day. He now sleeps through the night and will attend kindergarten in the fall. He is getting stronger, says Reed, cradling Otis as he sits on the floor at Realm of Caring's Colorado Springs office, where his wife Kathy works as an executive administrator. His quality of life is so much better. Realm of Caring was founded in 2013 by two Colorado moms, Paige Fiji, whose daughter Charlotte featured in CNN's groundbreaking documentary Weed, suffered from hundreds of seizures each week but now lives a normal life thanks to Charlotte's Web, the CBD extract named in her honor, and Heather Jackson, whose 13-year-old son Zachy has also found relief from seizures after using CBD. They were joined by CW Hemp Chief Executive Officer Joel Stanley and his 6 brothers, whose family business blends capitalism and good works. "We are a socially conscious company," says Vijay Bacchus, the Director of Operations at CW Hemp's production facility in East Boulder. "We need to make money to stay in business, but we are also about helping as many people as we can." Jackson says the Realm of Caring staff began hearing from the families of athletes, football players, hockey players, boxers struggling with brain injuries shortly after CNN and other media outlets began reporting on how CW Hemp's CBD oil dramatically reduced seizures in Charlotte Fiji, Zachy Jackson, and other children. Hearing about players who are struggling with the long-term consequences that come from repeated blows to the head, crippling depression, cognitive impairment, mood swings, violent headaches, memory loss, sensitivity to light and sound was a humbling experience, Jackson says. Some were addicted to the pain medications they had depended upon to stay in the game. Others had turned to alcohol or street drugs. Talking to the wives and girlfriends, it became clear to me that they were just another family in need, Jackson says. "We're talking about huge grown men who were having a hard time putting a full sentence together." Former Broncos quarterback Jake Plummer has been using Charlotte's Web for about a year. He also rubs a CBD gel on his joints when he is sore and occasionally uses a vaporizer when he is especially active. "It's helped with the searing pain from the headaches that seem to originate in my neck and go up to my eyeballs," he says. "It's helped with my joint problems, too. I feel more fluid in my movement. Cognitively, I am able to remember things, stay on top of things." Plummer is one of several athletes who teamed up with Realm of Caring to raise $100,000 to study cannabis effects on pain and brain injuries in current and former players. Monroe, who was expected to sign with the Giants before he announced his retirement, contributed $80,000 for the study that may involve more than 100 current players this season. The goal of campaign dubbed When the Bright Lights Fade is to eventually secure enough funding for studies on CBD's potential in preventing or minimizing CTE. My hypothesis is that former players will do better if they used cannabis during their careers, Jackson says. Realm of Caring's work with retired athletes, Jackson says, has an important side benefit. It has brought attention to CBD, and her organization's work with epileptic children and adults struggling with cancer, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and other neurological ailments. It will convince Middle America that cannabis isn't just about Harold and Kumar or Cheech and Chong. Mason T. Vert, the Director of Communications for the Marijuana Policy Project and a leader of the effort to legalize recreational pot in Colorado, says having athletes speak out on the benefits of weed will ultimately push the plant along with all its medical, industrial, and recreational uses into the mainstream of American life. It will change the culture, absolutely, T. Vert says. Professional athletes can reach an audience that would otherwise not think about this issue. ****NFL fans may believe football players continue to enjoy lifestyles well into retirement, but the truth is that many struggle physically, emotionally, and financially when their careers end and the bright lights fade. It was a shock to me, hearing about their lives, their fears of CTE, the opioid addiction," says CW Hemp's Joel Stanley. "A complete eye-opener." Take Jim McMahon, the punk rock quarterback for the 1985 Chicago Bears team that rolled over the rest of the NFL en route to a Super Bowl championship. McMahon, cocky, brash and unapologetic, was a perfect symbol for the work hard, party harder age of Reagan. 3 decades later, McMahon is a broken man. He was diagnosed with early-onset dementia 5 years ago and struggles with severe memory loss, headaches, and depression. The vertebrae in his neck are cracked and twisted. He says he gobbled down painkillers throughout his career and years after it ended as well. "I was always in rehab and doing something. I was eating painkillers like crazy. Even after I retired, I was eating them for probably another 5 years, McMahon says. McMahon says he smoked pot since he was in high school, but he learned that marijuana can do more for his health after he moved to Arizona in 2010 and got a medical marijuana card. He still uses weed to get high, he says, but he also uses CBD and other marijuana products to manage his pain and depression. "I was using 100 Percocets a month during my career," McMahon says. "I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I knew I had to get off pharmaceuticals. CBD and other marijuana products," McMahon says, "have given him a new lease on life. I feel much better. I'm not groggy all the time." Cannabinoids are awesome because they make your body feel good without getting you stoned, says McMahon. The NFL, however, is owned and run by deeply conservative men who often seem a step or two behind the nation's changing cultural mores. While most Americans have embraced marriage equality and supported LGBT civil rights in recent years, for example, NFL executives and coaches expressed concern that openly gay Michael Sam would be a distraction in a league that has struggled with domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse and suicides. Sports marketing expert Mark Gannis, who has worked closely with the NFL and its teams, says it's unlikely the league will remove cannabis from its banned substance list or earmark money for research as long as marijuana is classified as a Schedule I drug by the federal government. Marijuana is a big industry now, he says. The feeling, in NFL circles, is let the industry groups fund the research. Former Broncos wide receiver Nate Jackson, now a prominent marijuana advocate, says the league is afraid to alienate sponsors and fans. The NFL is really afraid of its image being tarnished by anything they do, he says. There is still a big stigma on cannabis around the country. The owners of these teams are wealthy men who are older and do not understand that this is a pretty innocuous substance. They stay behind the curve on social issues. Can marijuana save football? No, marijuana can save lives. That is our mission. But Jackson says cannabis may be the answer to many of the league's woes. If studies prove, as he suspects, that cannabis can prevent concussions or limit their long-term damage, the league might save money on legal and healthcare bills. I think the NFL will come to see that this benefits them in the long run, Jackson says. Realm of Caring's Heather Jackson, no relation to Nate, says there's plenty of reasons why the NFL should embrace marijuana. But mostly it comes down to improving the quality of life for people such as Leonard Marshall, Jim McMahon, Charlotte Figi, and her own son, Zachy. Can marijuana save football? No, marijuana can save lives, Jackson says. That is our mission.